All right, so welcome to the deep dive. And today we're diving into a story that I think really kind of hit a lot of people hard when the news broke.
Yeah.
And we're talking about George Foreman.
Big George.
Yeah, who passed away recently, March 21st, 2025, at the age of 76. And, we always try to look beyond the headlines here at the deep dive.
Right.
We want to get to the heart of what made figures like Foreman so significant, so universally recognized. We're looking at a guy with a long career,
Oh, yeah.
a long life, and so many different phases.
Absolutely. And that's why I think this one's particularly interesting, right? I mean, everyone knows him, at least for the grill.
Right.
There's so much more to the man and the myth, right?
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to get at today.
Well, exactly.
So what kind of stuff did we pull together for this deep dive?
Well, we've got, as usual, variety of sources, news reports, social media tributes, really reflecting, I think, the breadth of his impact across, so many different areas.
Yeah.
And so our mission here is to really unpack, I think, the core elements of his journey. We're talking about, that explosive early boxing career, that incredible second act in the ring, his entrepreneurial success, the George Foreman Grill, of course, but,
Right.
it goes beyond that. And then just, the beloved public figure he became. I mean, really, what made George Foreman such an impactful and cherished individual?
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump right in
Let's do it.
and start with the news of his passing,
Yeah.
how it was shared,
Right.
and the world's reaction to it.
Yeah, so it was actually his family who shared the news first through a really personal message on social media.
Oh, okay.
And the way they framed it, I think, was really telling, right? They described him first and foremost as a devout preacher, a devoted husband, loving father, and a proud great-grandfather.
Wow.
And this immediate emphasis on his faith, his humility, and that, profound sense of purpose, I think really resonated
Right.
right from the start.
Right away, yeah.
It wasn't just about the athlete, it was about the man behind it all, and
It paints this really rich picture of a guy whose identity, I mean, like we said, he had so many phases of his life, but it sounds like it was really rooted in, those core values that his family highlighted.
absolutely. And it wasn't just lip service, right?
Right.
He lived it.
Yeah.
And that really struck a chord with people. You saw the immediate and widespread outpouring of responses from fans globally. I mean, it really underscored just how far Foreman's influence extended. People connected with so many different facets of his life.
So before we even get to the grill, let's delve into that early boxing career.
Oh, man.
Those triumphs in the ring.
Yeah, those early years. I mean, it was sheer dominance.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I mean, you think about it, right? You had this relatively unknown kid bursts onto the scene, wins Olympic gold in '68.
Wow.
And from there, I mean, his ascent in the heavyweight division was meteoric.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he became this force of nature, his size, that aggressive, almost relentless style in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was unlike anything the heavyweight division had seen before.
But-
I mean, opponents were just psychologically beaten before the bell even rang sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. He was so intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
Intimidating and powerful.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that fight, 73 against Joe Frazier.
Oh, man, come on.
Down goes Frazier.
Classic.
It was like the perfect encapsulation of like
Yeah.
what,
Iconic Foreman was at the fight.
just raw, untamed power.
Yeah.
I mean, and that victory, it secured his first heavyweight title, of course.
Right.
But it was more than that. It was a statement.
Yeah.
He wasn't just winning, he was overwhelming his opponents.
Right.
And, of course, you can't talk about George Foreman in boxing without mentioning the Rumble in the Jungle, 74 against Ali.
Right.
I mean, even though he lost.
That fight transcended the sport itself. It became this massive cultural event.
It really did, yeah.
And for many, it cemented Foreman's place in boxing lore, even in defeat.
Yeah.
There was this aura of almost mythical power surrounding him.
It was almost like a changing of the guard in a way,
It really was, yeah.
Like the old lion and the young lion, and
Yeah.
Ali, use his experience and his wit and his speed and all that stuff
Right.
to kind of outsmart the young, powerful Foreman. But it was just so much bigger than just a boxing match.
Absolutely. It really was.
But then he had this amazing comeback later on.
Right. I mean, can you believe this? Right after stepping away from boxing for a decade,
Right.
he dedicated himself to his ministry,
Yeah.
came back,
Yeah.
and then against all odds in '94 at the age of 45,
45.
when most boxers are well into retirement, He defeats Michael Moorer to reclaim the heavyweight championship.
Unbelievable.
I mean, to become the oldest heavyweight champion in history.
What a story.
That's determination. That's physical conditioning. That's a renewed sense of purpose.
It almost seemed like he was a different fighter, right?
He was.
Like he wasn't relying solely on that kind of brute strength.
Right.
It was like he learned how to box.
He evolved his style. He had to, I mean,
Yeah.
he couldn't rely on just overwhelming people anymore. He had to be smarter,
Yeah.
more strategic, and he pulled it off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. When you look at his overall career, 76 wins.
That's a lot of wins.
An astounding 68 by knockout.
Wow.
And only 5 losses.
That's pretty incredible.
It really underscores his longevity and resilience across 2 very different eras in boxing.
Yeah. So you have this legendary boxing career, not once, but twice.
Right.
And then he makes this significant change.
Yeah.
Goes into entrepreneurship.
The George Foreman Grill.
Like, how many people can pull that off?
Right. Not many.
It's not an easy thing to do.
It really isn't. It speaks to, I think, a certain business acumen, but also an understanding of himself and his brand, you know, and a willingness to reinvent himself.
Yeah.
And, you know, after he hangs up his gloves that second time, he doesn't just fade away,
Right.
right? He carves out this new identity
Yeah.
in the business world.
And what an identity, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
The George Foreman Grill.
And it wasn't just a celebrity endorsement. It became a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. Over 100 million units sold worldwide.
Come on.
That's not a trend.
That's sustained success.
Like, how did he pull that off?
Yeah.
I mean, plenty of celebrities
Right.
and George products and stuff. What made his involvement with this one so different?
I think it's a few things, right?
Okay.
I mean, beyond just slapping his name on it,
Right.
I think Foreman's genuine enthusiasm for the product and his, you know, relatable kind of everyman persona in the marketing
Yeah.
were key.
Right.
He came across as authentic. You know,
Yeah.
people felt like they were buying into a trusted figure, not just a product.
He seemed like he actually used it,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. And on top of that, the grill itself, it filled a real need.
Right.
Convenient, healthier way to cook.
Yeah.
And so you combine, you know, a credible, likable spokesperson with a useful product.
Right.
That's a winning formula.
But it wasn't just the grill. It was like he was everywhere.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
TV appearances.
Countless guest appearances. He was
Yes.
a boxing analyst,
Yeah.
you know, and he brought his humor and his knowledge to that.
Yeah.
He was involved in community outreach programs. I mean, he didn't slow down.
Right. So you had this guy who was once perceived as this fearsome warrior.
Right.
You know, just knocking people out left and right.
Yeah.
And he really transformed himself into this beloved, almost fatherly figure.
Yeah. I mean, it really shows you that people are capable of significant change and growth
Yeah.
throughout their lives.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring
It is.
to see someone who, you know, was once, you know, this kind of almost scary figure
Right.
turn into this
Yeah.
beloved personality.
Twin arm approachable,
Yeah.
you know?
So when the news broke, I mean, like we said earlier, it was like
Yeah.
people from all walks of life were just,
Pouring out tributes.
yeah, like they were just coming out of the woodwork,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
sharing stories about him.
absolutely.
And it really showed how many lives he touched across so many different fields.
Yeah, it really speaks to the breadth of his impact, you know? And it wasn't just confined to one area.
Right.
I mean, you had these sporting icons like Mike Tyson and Scottie Pippen sharing their respects, you know?
Yeah.
Illustrating that influence went way beyond boxing.
Way beyond.
And then you had Bob Arum, you know, the promoter,
Right.
saying Foreman was more than a colleague, he was family.
Wow.
You know, I mean, that speaks volumes about the personal connections he built throughout his career.
And like I said, it wasn't just the big names, right?
Oh, no.
It was everyday fans.
All over social media, sharing memories, messages.
Yeah. What were some of the things that stuck out to you in those tributes?
Well, you know, the common threads were definitely those unforgettable fights, right? That raw power, those knockouts, but also that larger-than-life personality,
Yeah.
right? Both in and out of the ring.
Right.
People remembered his humor, his warmth, that genuine way he connected with others.
Yeah, it really cemented him as a major figure in both, you know, sports and business.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that his legacy is firmly established.
So we've looked at all these different phases of his life. We've talked about the ups and downs and the changes.
Yeah.
What are some of the big takeaways? What's the message of George Foreman's journey?
Well, for me, it's that narrative of transformation and reinvention.
Yeah.
You know, he overcomes a challenging youth. He reaches the pinnacle of a brutally demanding sport not once but twice.
Right.
And then he goes on to inspire millions through his entrepreneurial success and his commitment to his faith and his family.
Right.
It's a story about defying expectations and embracing new possibilities.
It's really like that idea that where you start doesn't have to dictate where you end up.
Exactly. And his life is a potent reminder that reinvention is always possible, especially when you have determination and purpose.
Right.
And I think his legacy will continue to motivate future generations
Absolutely.
in sports, in business, and in their own personal journeys.
So thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the life of George Foreman.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been really insightful.
It really has.
So for you, the listener, we want you to think about George Foreman's life, his successes, his setbacks, now he evolved
Right.
and redefined himself.
Yeah, think about what resonates with you the most.
Yeah, what lessons can you learn from his experiences in the world of professional sports, the business world, and his public life?
And building on that, considering Foreman's transformations,
Right.
where in your own life are there opportunities for reinvention? Maybe a chance to view something from a fresh perspective.
Right.
What does his ability to achieve success in such different fields say about the potential within each of us?
That's a great question and something to think about.
Absolutely.
So thanks for listening
And we'll see you next time.
on The Deep Dive.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.